Is not. Yes, it is going. Hey everyone, it's Chad from Colorado Giants. It's July 2nd. It's time for a quick update on what we got going on back here. I figured we would start with one of the beehives and tell you a little bit about that because lots of people are asking about the beehives. I'm getting more brave with the bees because they're really not that mean. You know, I grew up being quite scared of bees, but that fear is not needed. So what you're looking at here is basically the two big boxes on the bottom. Those are the brood boxes. That's where the bees live. And then the shallow box on top, this is where the honey is made. So I just opening up this box to check out real fast to see if they are making honey, which, you know, this went on 1 week ago and I could see they're starting to draw out some of that comb. So hopefully that means we will have some honey this year, some actual usable honey. Typically the first year you don't have honey that you can use, so we're real excited about that. And then over here we're going to, we'll keep it in this mode, the gourds right here. Long gourd or bushel gourd, long gourd, and then sunflowers. The sunflowers are doing really well. I would say these guys are, you know, knocking on the door of 4.5 foot, 5 foot tall. They're about up to my chest. And hit the wrong button, so I'll flip it around. So, and the gourds are finally starting to grow. Buried the vines on the long gourd. It has a rear runner vine that needs to be tended to. I put out the drip tape on these as well. So the idea of planting the long gourd back here is so that I can root in some of these nodes along here to get just more roots, because once it starts going, it's just going to climb up this trellis up here and it won't have any roots to put down. So you treat them kind of like a pumpkin plant, and you bury the vine, and then the secondaries I'm going to run up to the trellis. And then this bushel gourd here, same. They're growing really compact initially, and now you can see they're starting to take off a little bit. So that's pretty cool. I was getting a little nervous that the gourds weren't going to go again for me this year, but slow and steady, they're headed that direction. But a whole lot going on in here. I'll do it right now since I'm here, thin this out a little bit. There's a bunch of little leaves and some stalks and just some funk going on in here. You don't want too much stuff going on near your stump. I don't care what kind of plant it is, so we'll clear some of this out. Should be using like a pair of scissors or something. The cotyledons, those can go. Those aren't useful anymore. Pinch some of that away, but that's a whole lot better. Get that last one. So much better. All that is just a place for bugs and pests to live near the heart of the plant. So we got that. Break this tendril. It's choking out that leaf. So we got that squared away. I'll wrap this vine back around and send it to the front. So we will go check out the pumpkins. Been doing some yard work today. It's July 2nd, and 4th of July we always have a barbecue, so try and make the yard look real nice. Just got to do some edging around, and yard will be in tip-top shape. So the sandbags are going down around the perimeter. I got a bunch of sand to make more sandbags because I don't want the ends flapping in the wind. Something that I need to do today, now that it's a little bit cooler, is spray for bugs. I did find a cucumber beetle in here, so I want to stomp out that problem immediately. Ain't nobody got time for bugs. And then we'll start the pumpkins with the more neglected of the pumpkin plants. 1984 backup barren, backup plant, 1211 alts. Just a really flippin' weird plant. I've decided I'm just going to let these guys go. I'm really on the fence about burying vines. I'm probably going to bury these vines as they are right now. This guy I'm just going to let go. I'm not going to trim other than once it gets past this middle. I'm going to whack them off there. but I'm not going to trim any tendrils. I'm just going to let it, tendrils, tertiaries, I'm just going to let it go and fill in this whole area, let it go wherever it wants to go, and maybe try and get a few 100-pound pumpkins out of these plants. I will, put forth a little effort on this guy because I really like to see what it can produce, but it's just such a funky plant. Let's go into that a little bit. So it was burning really bad initially, like real bad, and then it kind of got over that a little bit, and it definitely has the biggest leaves out of any of my plants. This one has some real monster sized leaves, but then like it decided, this secondary vine, I pinched it off just a little bit ago, it didn't want to come out, and then those two are doing pretty okay, a little bit of burn, and I finally have a pumpkin down here, which I'm starting the S curve. But I really actually like the look of that pumpkin. It's nice and round, it's got a long stem. So hopefully this plant, I chose this plant because it's supposed to be really orange genetics. It came from the seeds of this plant. The seeds that this plant is growing came from an orange wheel, and it looks like that could be an orange wheel as well. The vine on this, it's got a really thick vine, which I like, but just the growth is very weird. I would say this plant is probably 6 to 8 foot long, but only about 4 foot wide. So kind of strange. And then this one has another pumpkin going on in it, and I'll start pollinating these. It's got a pumpkin right there, so that's maybe 10 days or so out. Same with this one. So I'll pollinate them. And I'll let this go. I'll let it go crazy. We'll see what happens. Bushel gourd, world record bushel gourd. This also is finally taking off. I am going to bury these vines. I got my vine burying stuff right there. And you know what? Hey, I will show you what I'm using this year to bury my vines. Unfortunately, I was doing this and I got a surprise rain shower, so the stuff got a little wet, which, that's less than ideal, but whatever. So let's do that. So we got our azos, just a big bag of azos. Yeah, it's gonna be all chunky now. Lovely. So I do generous scoop on each node. That's a little too generous, but whatever. You can't really overdo this particular product. So if you're using azos, don't be afraid to, if you're overdoing it, unlike other things that you definitely can overdo. And I'm sure you could overdo azos, but whatever. So I got some azos at each of the nodes, and then we'll use some of the Ron Wallace Wow mycorrhiza. Use this stuff that's a little wet. We'll put that at each node, like so. Sprinkle it generously around. Another product you can't really have too much of. And then I have a mixture of seaweed / kelp, same thing, and a little bit of like crushed up crab, so for calcium, lobster, and then sprinkle that down there. And then you just come back and you bury it. So that's my vine burying mix for this year. I go out a little bit and I sprinkle it. I've been adding fans this year instead of more water. I have fans blowing down on all of these pretty aggressively, so each kind of side has at least 2 fans, or one big fan. So one big fan for this side, one big one. The heat this last week, finally summer showed up, and we've had some 90 near 100 degree days. I'm sure in here in the screen house it's been 100. So the 1911, the 1984 was the best, most aggressive plant. Since the heat came on, that position has been taken over by the 1911. It's been much more aggressive, much faster growing than the 1984, which kind of took me by surprise. But it has had a little bit of leaf burn, so you can see right along the edge of the last few days that it's been warmer. We are getting a little burning, but it's not so much affecting the plant. The plant is still trucking right along, and I expect it to fill up this space in the next 2 weeks. I did pollinate a pumpkin on July 1st. It's looking pretty good. On July 1st, we pollinated 1911 Urana with the 1984 Baron. And we'll go take a look at that. So I'm pretty excited about that cross. How big are these plants? Somebody asked me. I don't really know. I forget the spacing. I say these are 6 foot on the center. So this plant is at least 12 feet long, probably 8 to 10 foot wide. Smaller than I really had hoped for, but you know, whatever. I'm agitated at this plant. So the 1984 is looking really good. No burning, but the heat really slowed it down. So I'm not too sure why that is, but whatever. There is a pumpkin right there. If you've watched the past videos, you would know that that is not the pumpkin I want. I want my pumpkin to be out here. So I was willing to wait for like a middle of July pollination to put that pumpkin out here and have it really at, you know, maybe 18 feet out, have a big plant behind it. But there is no pumpkin in the tip of that vine. There's not a stinking pumpkin to be found in there. So let's see if I can walk over there and show you with what battery we have left, because I want to double check myself. But there is no pumpkin in here. Stepping on my soil a little bit. Let's double check real fast. So focus. So no pumpkin there. No pumpkin. No pumpkin. No pumpkin. So so by the time it got up to here where I want it, there still would be no pumpkin. So that's going to be my huckleberry right there. Which, is that a terrible thing? No. Is it what I wanted? No. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. You got to roll with it, and you got to take what the plant gives you. I am keeping some of the pumpkins on the secondaries in the back of the plant just in case. But that's about it. That's your update. The weather's been a little crazy. It's kind of hot, and then we'll get some rain, typical, but you know, it's not consistent this year. But with that being said, it's not as hot, so I do like that. But that's it, guys. Hopefully everybody else is doing good. Hopefully your pumpkins are growing. There's a lot of pumpkins that are about day 20 or so, and people are rocking and rolling, and a lot of really nice plants, really nice pumpkins out there. And yeah, it's going pretty good. I can't complain. I got some motivation for next year building already. I really like what I did over there. I really like these mini wobblers. Lots of things going right this year. Just got a late start. Such is life, but I'm working on it. I'll fix it next year already. The excuses are already starting and already saying it's going to be better next year. But that's it. I need to foliar feed with some stuff and spray for bugs, because nobody wants bugs. Have a good one, guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. Let me know how your season is going. I would really like to know. Have a good one.